Hello again, everyone. I'm going to show you today how to make a user tool. This will be the first of 2 or 3 series on the topic. I'll discuss how to make a user tool from 2 or 3 different sources. We're going to look first of all at how to make them from web pages. Then we'll talk about how to make them from Word documents. And then finally we'll discuss how to do so from scanned documents. But the first installment is going to be how to use a web page. So let's get started now as we begin this study. Now let's begin by assembling our web pages into a Microsoft Word document so we can import it as a user tool into Accordance. We're going to use as an example a series of articles from the Christian Courier. So we'll click in our address bar and type Christian Courier. When it comes up, then we will type radical preterism. This brings up a series of articles on what we sometimes call realized eschatology, radical preterism, or is known by AD 70 doctrine or Kingism. I'm going to go ahead and click the menace of radical preterism. When this article comes up, you will notice that it is like a normal web-based article. It has headings, it has numbered list, and when you get near the bottom, you will have a list of references, scripture references, and a notation of where to cite this article. This is really good because this website provides this. Otherwise, you can put that in manually. But in order to do this well, I'm going to click in the address bar. A part of Safari will allow you to go into reading mode, which has just the article and not all of the advertisements and other things. And it's best to copy and paste from here. So we click here and we choose Select All, and then we come to the Edit menu and choose Copy. Now we're going to go to Microsoft Word, and we have a new blank document, and we will choose Paste, or you can choose Command V. Now that we've got to the end of the article, I'm going to hit 2 returns to provide a little spacing between the articles. I will go back to the Christian Courier web page and I will click off the reading mode. And then if you'll notice on the right hand side, there's related articles. King and Company go trans-denominational. So I will click this, and again I will go to the reading mode, select here, copy, go back to Microsoft Word, paste, again hit a couple of returns to separate the articles. I will click off of the reading mode. Now we'll choose another article in this series of lessons, Growing Doubts About the Resurrection of the Dead. Again, I will click the reading mode, select all, copy, and paste. Now I have 3 articles, and for the purpose of what we're trying to do, 3 will be enough, but you could choose to do many more. But some of the principles that we will be using here, you'll be able to use as you prepare this document. Now there are several things that you might want to do as you prepare to do this. One of the first ones that I do is to make the size of the font the same all throughout. So I will do a Select All, Command A, and then I will come up to the size and I will choose 12 point. In this case it makes the article again much smaller. Now as I begin at the start of the article, I will notice that there are some things in here that I do not want. Like for instance, this tag here, byline with a dot in front of it. That's a part of the HTML code that I don't want to have. So I'm going to come up here to my Edit menu, come down to Find and Replace. And then I will tell it to find dot BYLINE, and you will see there are 3 matches. I don't want that there, so I'm just going to say replace all with nothing, and immediately they are all gone. So I will click off of that now, and so you will notice that now I have an article without those items in it. The second thing that I would want to do as I look through this is to remove the multiple spaces. So what I will do is I will again choose Find, Replace. This time I will choose white space, and then I'll replace the white space, which is one or two or more spaces, and I will put just one press of the space bar, and I will choose Replace All. That tightens the document up. It puts only one space between sentences. And again, I will close that box. And I will check off up here because it searched for white space. Usually the third thing I will do now is to try to make sure that there are no misspelled words. And many times in articles there are people who misspell words, and sometimes there are words that are not recognized. Go to the Tools menu, Spelling, choose Spelling, and it will say it finished, but that's because I was at the end, and I'll say start at the beginning. I'm going to zoom in so you'll notice that the word eschaton is here, and I'm going to tell it to ignore all, preterism, preter. Now here's a situation where the writer has typed prolifically, but it actually should be spelled a little differently. But rather than changing, since it's his article, I'm going to tell it to ignore. I'm going to tell it to ignore all preterist. And again, discipling, preteristic, transdenominational. Here again, in the previous article, there's a T that is missing. I'm not going to correct this one. If it was something that I needed to, I might would, but I'm going to tell it to ignore. Anti-biblical, and again, we, so a quotation, ignore this. Transdenominational, transmillennial, again a name, another name, Hymenaeus, Philetus, and checking is complete. So I know that the document now is fairly well checked, but it would have given some ideas if I had some words that, for instance, have been broken at the end of a line. But I do notice something as I'm going here, that the numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8, Microsoft Word has picked them up from an earlier list, perhaps right here. So what I will do in this, I will select that. I will come up here, and now it will make them 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I should have began at the beginning of the article. I will scan down, and again notice this, and so I will again select that, and again a 1 and a 2, and then I will come along and I notice here's a series of numbers again. I will select that, and now it numbers them correctly. And I notice here's another set of numberings. And so I'm probably going to take this and do this again. And so now I pretty well have my article the way I want it, or the series of articles. Now the final step before you prepare to save it is to mark the main articles with a top level heading, and then the subpoints, like the basis for the dogma, as minor points. And Microsoft Word has built in a style palette. If you will notice at the top, there's normal, headline, heading 1, and heading 2. Those are going to be the ones that we're going to use. And in order to be able to bring this in like I want to, I'm going to hit a couple of returns, and I'm going to title this AD 70 Doctrine from Christian Courier, Accordance module, Tony Lawrence, and I'm going to do April 28th, 2016. Now what I will do is I will select this and I will turn this into heading 1. I will take the title into heading 1. I will come down here and I will make this heading 2. This will be heading 2 because these are subpoints. Headings 2. And when we import it, you will see in a while that is very important. Heading 2. Heading 2. Heading 2. Heading 2. Now we come back to the main article title and we're going to do heading 1. And if you will notice there are no others, so we'll choose to cite this article, heading 2. And then to the third one, we'll choose heading 1 again. For the subpoints, heading 2. Heading 2. Heading 2. Heading 2. Heading 2, and then finally heading 2. Now our article is ready for import. If there were any other changes that need to be made, this would be the point in which you would make them. What I'm going to do now is go to the File menu, choose Save As, and in this case we're going to save it on the desktop, and I'm going to choose it 8070 Doctrine from Christian Courier. But instead of Word format, I'm going to come down to Web Page Filtered. Since this is Microsoft Word 365 or Microsoft Word 2016, you have this option. If you're using an older version, you may not have that option, but we'll choose Web Page Filtered and choose Save. It will tell you that I'm choosing to save it in a Web Page Filtered format. I'm going to go ahead and say yes to save it. Now I'm ready to go to Accordance. When I go to Accordance, I will choose User Files, Import User Tool. And it will ask me what kind I want. HTML, I want a new user tool. Say OK. And I come to the one I just saved, 8070 Doctrine. Choose Open. It's going to ask me to give it a title, and if you'll notice, there's only so many characters that can be used, so I will choose 8070 Doctrine -CC for Christian Courier. Click OK. Now it's brought the module in, and if you will see, it's exactly what I want, and it will show you the articles. There's 3 of them. It will show you the sub-articles under them, and so what I want to do on this, though, I want to do some editing on it. I don't want this here in the same format, so I will either can type Command U, or I can right-click and choose Edit User Tool. And if you'll notice, there is an extra one there, and I don't want that one, so I just click on it, and it takes that off. And I also don't want there to be that much space between them, so I will come here and I will get rid of a couple of those spaces. And I want to make sure that's centered again. But I want this one to be left aligned so it will be along with the rest of them. And I'm going to get rid of a couple of the carriage returns. And then I will choose Save. And when I close it, if you will notice now, it's cleaned it up just a little bit. But now I have a user tool. And if I want to search, for instance, for content, and I want to search for, say, Max King, it brought up Kings. I want to search for the word King. And I hit return, And if you will notice, it brings up each of those instances. And you can go through choosing hit, 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 and it will show you every time the word king appears. So you have now created a user tool. If you will continue to watch the next one, we'll try to take time to do a standard Word document, and then the hardest is trying to transfer or convert a scanned document.